So most welcome to this course on Vishwanath Temple, which is now considered to be most debated issues. My voice is audible or something problem? Okay, today is Nirjala Bhim Sheni Ekadasi, Yesh Shukla 11th. So that is quite good to talk about something Nirjala. It means without going to be biased to one side or other side, and without having something food, only water and only once, and then you have to do some tapas. So this is just to have the day. This is what I am going to talk. It is nothing like systematic observation because no one can talk directly on Vishwanath. So many things, confusing, contradictory, mixture, hyperbolic. Oh my goodness, dot, 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 dot. So what I am trying my best to put some of the systematic way. I have to especially welcome Divay, who has now taken lead for the architectural construction and reconstruction of the whole Vishwanath landscape. So we are collaborating, and he is here. So thank you very much and welcome to him. Okay, let me start with like this. So just giving you this particular perception of the city. Two things are very commonly we talk about Varanasi and difficult to prove. It is said this is the oldest living city in the world. And then very commonly we cite Mark Curie saying it is more than history and all history together than more than that, something like that. But it is not the fact. There are 10 such cities in the whole world. This is one thing. And second thing is that the city has been destroyed at least 3 times, major destruction. Then we reconstruct. The beauty of the thing is that they have tried to reconstruct the city in a way what it was. That is the thing important. This is one. Second thing is very popularly we say that this is Hindu's religion, cultural capital. This is Hindu something iconic. But the other thing is that 34% population is Muslim. And we start the history of Muslim invasion in this area. Generally, we say 12th century. But there are at least 6 such monuments. The remains of the monuments, you can say that is dated to 9th century. This is another perspective to see that how the great Sufis came in the historical past and they became part of the city. That is another perspective. And the most common nowadays, we are talking about Vishwanath. Now again, the problem is start the which Vishwanath we are talking. So we will start some of the glimpses from the different aspect of history. So let me just first introduce. You can see a quick glimpse that how the city now defined. You can see this orange color, that is the main city area, and that is the urban agglomeration, boundary of the urban agglomeration, city and then agglomeration. And it has several names, and all names, 108 names described in one of the Mahatmya Purana, that is called Brahmavayar Purana. And in that 108 names described, and then it says that what does it mean and how it is befitting to the characteristic of Varanasi. I am citing only 3 names, which is more common. Banaras, very popularly we say, oh, these Britishers had corrupted the name, but sorry to say already in some of the Jatakas, the word Banaras is used. It means that was already in a popular way in common society during British period, that was common. The second is Varanasi, very commonly again people say that Varna and Asi, Varna is in the north, you can see my cursor, and in the south that is Asi. So Varna plus Asi in between the city is called Varanasi. This is completely wrong. This is later on addition. Because Varanasi were already used several times in the ancient Puranas when city was not grown like this. The southern portion growth is very late. So this is also ancient but befitting somehow the names of Varna and Asi, and that's why it is called. And in cosmological sense, spiritual sense, or metaphysical sense, the city is called Kashi. We derive the meaning like cosmic light. And that is not part of this lecture, but how we have used so many scientific methods to say that how this is circularity, water rages going, etc. But anyway, People coming mostly from South India, they never say Varanasi or Banaras. Mostly they say, I am going to Kashi Ji. Ji is a mark of respect. So just to have a ground. And the modern city, what we see today, since the 18th century, the most famous name is Ahilya Bai. Here you can see the picture, how she was responsible for reconstruction of the Vishwanath temple and other ghats and other areas. So just to have the introduction. Now, just to give you a glimpse that who are responsible for all this construction, reconstruction, and life. So in the recorded history, we start from the Qutbuddin Aibak, that who in 1194 destroyed the oldest temple of Visheshwar, according to historical records and Puranic records. And then at the same place, Rajia Sultana has made in 1233, 32, she has made a huge mosque, which is still existing. All the pillars, I have shown you some of the picture of. And so that was the destruction, you can say, in the medieval period. Then the period is start Akbar, who started Dine Lahi, and then he was a little bit more sympathetic than other his own great grandfathers. So he tried to patronize and tried to synchronize the two groups fighting. But the main credit goes to Raja Man Singh of Amer, who was the military controller, and he was one among the 9 gem courtesans of Akbar, who took the lead. Already you can find in, if you can use Jaipur archives, you can find several documents that justify how he have selected, what he have done, how he patronized, how he convinced Todar Mal and Narayan participating in this whole Vishesh thing. So that is Todar Mal, and then the Todar Mal coming from Varanasi, the finance minister, and the last one was that the poet and priest Narayan Bhatt, who was responsible for making that whole thing. And then comes start destruction story, and that was that how Aurangzeb was responsible in 1669. So you will see that whole situation. Then complete loss, and then recreation is started by Ahilyabai Holkar, and we believe that in 1777 to 1782, 3 dates vary, 2 3 years gap here and there, that she has reconstructed that, and that's why the whole religious landscape evolved. In the meantime, 2 other personalities also to be added. The one is that whose family during since the Akbar period, Kedarnath Vyas, now no one is alive in the family. The last 2019, this fellow died. They have done a wonderful work that they have tried to survey about 2,200 temples, shrines, house number, lane number, location, something like that. Just it was service to the city, like that. I have worked under him for about 20 years. That's why I am showing that man. But anyway, there is nothing like memorial, nothing like any place where you can say now Kedarnath Vyas, only some of his publication documents you can go through, and then you can understand. And the last man, 2019 onwards, you can find our very respected Modi ji, who has recreated the different world. So maybe it is more touristic, more fancy, more big, more attractive. Now 5 times people are going, more youngs are going, which never happened in history. So they are going to enjoy high in the hall, etc. So that is another part. So just giving you a whole glimpse like this before I can start. Another important thing you have to keep in mind that uh, in general perception or observation, we always say Shivlinga considered to be the symbol of male-female union and God or Purusha and Prakriti, something like that. But it is more than that. If you go to scientific literature, the Prithvi of Capra, Arzuko, Dawkins, these theoretical physicists all alive, then you can find the Shivlinga is a symbol, of course, mostly interpreted in religious terms, but try to interpret the cosmic structure of the whole universe. So this way, Shiva is also called Maheshwara. And therefore, there is a tradition in Varanasi that every particle of dust is a part of. One more, and then I am coming on the topic. This is another example based on the Mahabharata. So maybe you can say 6th to 8th century BCE, that based on the Banaparva, the forest canto, the 12 Jyotirlinga light manifested linga described in different parts of India. And by 7th, 8th century AD, all have been replicated in the landscape of Varanasi. So easily you can compare, like number 7 is here and 7 is here. What we did, we took photographic images of both the places and with the help of the computer, superimpose and try to see what is the relationship between the original in India and then in Varanasi. We find that 50 to 60% symmetry is there. The design is about the same, location is the same, alignment is very close by to that. So that replica representing originality and then propagated like original one. That's how the city became cultural capital in a sense. Take one example of Jyotirlinga. Here is just an example that about 212 ancient places of India, different parts of India, they have been replicated in Varanasi. This is just so an example. Now the history I am starting with after this background. The first thing what we see in the literature based on archaeological evidences from where the story of Vishwanath starts. It goes to 1962. A book was written, and that is still that is the classic, and that is the only one. History of Varanasi, History of Kashi, that is by Moti Chand, in which he has taken all the archaeological sites, then Puranic description, and the other interpretation, travelogue, etc., and try to link together. First time we find that he has published this, of course, that is part of Ek Nara in 1956. This seal he has tried to interpret. That's a Sri Avimukteshwara. It had been a little bit distorted, but he has published that Sri Avimukteshwar seal. And he said this is about in between 4th century to 6th century. And later on, he tried to interpret that was found in the northernmost part where the Varna River, if you can see my cursor, Varna River is meeting to Ganga River. That was the archaeological site where it was found. And that was the place in 1957, A.K. Narayan has tried to put this whole structure to say that how since about 1000 BC to 1200 AD continuously here a settlement. That's why it is called one of the oldest living city in the world. So he had interpreted this seal and then tried to link it that Avimukteshwara and Visheshwara both are the same. He tried to say that description of this particular seal, Avimukteshwara, and praying Visheshwara, so both are the same. And this way, the whole history started in this way on the line of Moti Chand theory. So the problem is still we are not very much sure how to say, but at least we can say if we follow Moti Chand and the archaeological evidences, we can say the history started around 4th to 6th century. This is archaeological side. But if you can go the Puranic side and the way people are scholars or Sanskrit scholars or Indologists, they try to interpret. So they say, no, it is something like at least 3rd century BC or 5th century BC. Visheshwari described, our Quran says like this. That is another perspective. Some of the examples I will cite you later on. This way, following Moti Chand and other scholars like Kutirnath Shukul and later on Desai and those who have done like Roger and Mitchell. So here is a general chart. So following that 4th to 6th century, started the whole journey. Then Fahian, then Huensang, then descriptions. So the whole history coming from 4th and latest one is coming 13th of December 2021. Then when Modi ji had inaugurated this whole compound of the newly made what is they call corridor. So Kashi Vishwanath corridor is a kshetra, but they have put this English name corridor to attract more tourism. This is just general outline. One can have a glimpse of that one, and then I am proceed. Now the history starts that which is the first incidents we can scientifically based on GPS survey or electromagnetic survey we have done, which is the oldest site and how that is fitting into landscape. That is called Rajiyaka Mask, which is about 600 meters north from this whole Gyanvapi Mask. So that area, if you can analyze based on the Padma Purana, Matsya Purana, Skanda Purana, Kashi Khand, they are all dated from the 3rd century to 12th, 13th century AD. The way the description is, and first description of Vensang, what he says that the temple of, he is not mentioning the word Visheshwara, Deva Deva, Mahadeva. He said the greatest Mahadeva. But Mahadeva is most commonly used for Visheshwar. That's why we come to this statement that he was referring to Visheshwar. But neither Visheshwar, neither Vishwanath, these words are not mentioned by Pensa. Anyway, Mutishan again say no, that is the same Mahadeva and Visheshwar same. He said that on a very tall level, it is just like hill. There was a beautiful temple, and the reflection of that temple is coming into Ganwap. Ganwapi was a big, huge tank. So we are reconstructing. Diva Gupta is now doing work on that, and soon we will come to some conclusion how this whole description of Purana fitting to that. Anyway, coming to this, if you can see inside its structure and closely watch, we find here several examples of different motifs, icons, symbols like Lakshmi, Ganesha, then you find right, the mouse, the carrier of Ganeshi, and then different type of the style of rings here and there in pillars. This way it is said that that was the place originally Visheshwar was there. And after destroying this in 1194, Iltutmish's daughter, Rajia Sultana, in 1230, around 24 to 3 years, he has constructed huge this type of mosque. So that is story start from there. And now coming that this whole movement is started that look, that is our place. So that destruction, how to prove it. So there was a religious movement of Naga sadhus, and many people. Story is there. There is nothing like clear evidence that many of them died, but nothing happened to renovate and then capture and convert into news. That is it. Here is that particular farman. We find three type of farmans. One farman says that is without mentioning Vishwanath, that says that where people are doing some religious discourses against Islam, our majority of people are gathering and they are not going to support us, that may be destroyed. Now, question is here. Directly that never mentioned Visheshwar. But once you find the interpretation of that word, what is in Persian, that message had been sent that according to our respected Basha, on the 3rd of September, as you wish, we have destroyed this one. This way it is interpreted that that is directly related to Aurangzeb Farman. But we are not very sure to say that which one. Now, another problem is there is another Farman in BHU, Bharat Kala Bhavan. They said this is the original Farman. It never mentioned that line, etc. Then the third aspect related to this is that he has given Jagir and some donation to the monastery and Shiva temple. And the date has been found in Jangabadi Math, that type of inscription found. That date is 1680, not 1669. That's why interpretation is that later on he maybe tried to little bit subsidize and adjust. So later on he has supported Hindu temples and monasteries. This is the way interpretation is going on. We are not saying anything what is the fixed type and what is the reality. Still the things is going on, and already you know that court case is going on. So most of the people try to interpret with Masire Alamgiri. That is the text of Aurangzeb Darbar, in which this is mentioned, and then interpretation based on that, whatever I have mentioned. Earlier you have seen this, the left hand side you can find this. Then it says that only important temples, no way to refer to place. One place it found that Banaras is mentioned. And one place it also said in another Farman that three most important temples to be looked after, and if the things are going on discourse against that, it means that needs to be destroyed. And that's why people interpret that three temples most important of that period. One was Vicheshwar, and Bindumada, and Kirtivashish. This is the way the whole story is. So now coming direct to grassroots, that was the whole background that how the whole story is narrated. Here you see that one 1920 map, right hand side. This is the only cadastral detail map of the city in 18 seats available. Based on that, we have tried to reconstruct the location of those sites. So you can see here the cursor is moving. That is number 2, that is Raja Mosque. Now the question, where is number 1? So our geomagnetic survey, what we have done, an electromagnetic survey during late 90s, that was University of Colorado Astrophysics and MIT Physics Department program, that our survey said that somewhere it was close to Rajghat area, first one shrine. And that is fitting into the seal we have found in Rajghat area. So there may be smaller river, some shrine or temple of Visheshwara in that part. The basic hypothesis was that the intensity of our measurement, gravity or whatever it may be, high, then we can consider the most important ancient temple. So that's how that fits into that area. That's why number 1 is not important. Number 2, we have the historical proof, mythological proof, and Quranic proof. That's why we link that was to Rajia. And then the story starts that later on it came here to what is now called as Danwapi Mosque. In fact, if you can see the old record, Danwapi is the name of the area, not the mosque. But popularly, we start saying Danwapi Mosque, and that gets a lot of confusion. If you ask here the senior, even Muslim scholars, old guys, they say, ये इलाका का नाम है. And Banarsi people are very fond of mixing so many things, corrupting the names, changing the names, and then say, ha, 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 enjoy, no big deal. Matni, who is the chief of this Gyanwapi Mosque, in a recent interview, said, let me say frankly, that this is Aurangzeb Mosque in Gyanwapi area, Mohalla. So just to say it, now here is a problem. Still we have not solved. When the description came, the Sarki came, and some other kings, they have destroyed the temple. When it was already destroyed, this place was destroyed in 1194 by Qutbuddin Aibak. And which site they were going in 15th century to destroy? It means there was already some portion, a small portion, or maybe some way there were already existing temple. We find description that there were maybe close by to this, because Avimukteshwara is original Avimukteshwara site is this. So naturally, this was the place where already some form of shrine or small level or partly level Shiva temple was existing, named after Visheshwar or Vishwanath. Vishwanath is a popular name in most Sanskritized way, that is called Visheshwar. Now the third question is started here, that why this site has been selected. In another site, why Akbar has selected this one. So there are 2-3 interpretations of this. The one was that already in a ruined form, some site was existing, and trying to establish his method of Deen Ilahi, Akbar was very much interested to do something in a way that people can support, especially Hindus can support. This is one side. Second side is that he always want to convince lovely, respectfully the Rajputs, and that was controlled by Man Singh of Amber, who was one of the 9 courtesans. And he was already interested to have something based on that destruction, a temple to be made. Neither replica, but original to be made. Later on, I will tell you that already it's a dynasty, not, we can't say direct son or grandson. Already a temple was made, Adi Visheshwar. And here some of the old rubrics I will show you, some of the portion already preserved. The confusion starts here. Now in all the debates, people are saying so many times for so many temples, Adi, 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 then which Adi that we are concerned. So we are not concerned. Simply we can say the old site of Visheshwar, then we say Adi Visheshwar. Then later on, here temple was constructed in 1585, about 3 years. 83 to 85, that is the period mentioned. So that was patronized, controlled by Man Singh, and then comes Todarmal, who was a finance secretary, and he was from Banaras. And then his close friend and a priest, Narayan Bhatt, all together. So 3 persons responsible for the construction, if you can reconstruct the whole story, that how that temple was constructed. One more thing was there, that is missing. That Raghunath name is coming in some of the inscription and sources, who was the man who was standing and looking after all construction. He was son of Todarmal, who was Jagirdar at Jodhpur, that is 50 kilometers north from here. So this is the story all got mixed up in that. Now the question is that here again you can think this is the highest point. The way Huensang described on a very high level, like hillock, there were the temple and reflection is going on. So we find that if we can reconstruct what the image is doing there, that here we can put to the computer model, and then this whole area may be low land, and then you find how the water flow is going on based on the ancient map of the water. Then you can find that something is going to link what we call landscape history, like that. That is the story. It is coming up like this. Then the last phase of this whole debate is coming. That two times Ahilya's husband and father-in-law, they have tried to capture this whole area, Aurangzeb mosque area, and then try to rebuild, but they have been not successful. Then later on, temple of Visheshwara was made here, the number 4 Visheshwara temple, what we call now the old Visheshwara temple, popularly people say, but that is Ahilyabai. Date is 1777, 26th of August, according to astronomical calculation. But in different writings, you find 76, 77, 1780, 2, 3 dates. But anyway, we prefer to say it based on the astronomical calculation, 26th of August, 1977. That was the date that temple had been reconstructed, consecrated, and opened for the public. So that now later on, only last 2 years, that had been completely renovated, changed, and now what do you see currently? So it means the Visheshwar story started something here which is not clear, nothing known. Number 1, close by to Visheshwar and Rajghat. Second is Rajya Mosque, that is Bansfatak area. Third one you can say Aurangzeb Mosque in the Dhanwapi Kshetra. And the fourth one you can say what is today. This is the way the whole in landscape history is going like in this way. Okay. So later on, in course of time, we can find this is just to give you that what was the function of all this narration. The dotted line shows pilgrimage journey. That is part of the Avimukta Yatra and Antargrihi Yatra, which is already since the 10th century going on. Several times it has been broken, stopped, but again it started. Similarly, when the new construction of this corridor is started, it is already broken and it stopped, but again something in a revised form it is started. So these were functional in a different perspective at different level. It was going on. To say this with the help of the map, one can try to justify this. This is the way now the things are going on. So they have reconstructed the whole story that this Wajib Khana is part of that, a link to that, and that is a link. Later on, I will come on this issue. But anyway, how these reconstruction things are going on to propagate from one side, then other side, and our whatever analysis or interpretation, no one side. What is the factual? What till date we have observed? We are saying this is the backside of that one. On the basis of that one, Princip has reconstructed the whole design. Now again, the question is that how you can, on the basis of only one part, you can construct. So that is again question. But still, that is the only first such detailed map of that. Before that, we can just say one example is this. In the upper side, you can say this is a sketch prepared by Kubernath Shukla in 1972 in his book Varanasi Bible. He mentioned that nobody is now alive. Motichand, Kedarji, and Kaladi, no one is alive all that. Anyway, he tried to say that when Akbar patronized and Mansingh were looking after, they have followed some Shastra. And that was not only one temple, that was Panchayatan. It means 4 other temples, shrines all around, and there was a well also. Now people are interpreting the Wajib Khana is linked to that. That is their way to say. But this has nothing, only the sketch and only mentioned in Varanasi Bible, no other historical records or any book we can find detail. The back side, the first time we find in 1831, this is the only historical, you can say, photograph lithograph and then inscribed and published. Banaras, the City Illustrated by James Prinsep in 1831. That was 1827-28, published in 1831. So backside you see the whole design. That was the portion. And interpretation is that the front side already destroyed and converted, like in the right hand side you can see, and the back side was left as a memory that look what I have done. It's just like to say that what power I have, I can do like this. People interpret it like this. But this is again not very clear why this has been left, this portion. If the whole temple has been demolished, why this part only left? But interpretation is coming based on 5, 6 such temples in South India, studied by scholars. The similar things happen, so that is part of the temple. This is the way interpretation is. This is one of the sketches, which are again, it goes to, it's nothing like published outside. This was in the personal collection of Kedarnathji, Kubernathji. And in that, this whole structure was given. So if we can compare this one with the Prinsep map, then we can find that there is a quite good similarity there. And this way we can say that Prinsep design of the temple is taken as a very, in a more positive way. But still that is a big question. I can show you like this. This is a Prinsep you can see. So well, you can just follow my cursor. Okay, where the cursor is moving and say a dotted line is out of all this destroyed, like this, like this. And only this inner portion kept. And then we can find 3 qiblas, the 3 stupa structure of the mosque was built here. Then it was open space. And then here it was found that was Yukhana and now the Shivling things going on. Like who is the real owner and all that. This is Shivlinga, Pawara, or whatever. One more important point is this. This may be theoretical, but what we tried, that whatever is map he has prepared, this we have measured before 1992 because 6th December 1992, that was our exact case. And after that, no one can study this area. It is completely blocked. So this is based on the earlier studies. What we did, we have measured this black portion. And then you can say 10% modification and correction, whatever Prinsep has done. 2 important messages are here. The one important message, if you see the mandapas, 3, 3, 3, then 4 corners, guards, and then 4 mandapas, the canopies, Shingara, Ashwara, then Jnana Mandapa, Mukti Mandapa. Now the problem is that there is no Nandi. Ganesh is there, Mother is there. Where is Nandi? On the place of Nandi, Tadkeshwar is. Tadkeshwar is another form of Shiva. So that is a big question. It is right or wrong or contradictory. What is that? They are not sure. It should have been Nandi, then many things have been solved. But there is no Nandi. Other thing is that whatever map he has prepared, he has not plotted anywhere Nandi. Later on, we reconstruct that. That is another issue. Now, another part of this one, we try to see the symmetry. You see this, the right-hand side, from the center where the Vishwanath site we considered to be, that he was there. Then we have tried to link this in a very big platform. And then we find that, my goodness, the way he has reconstructed this, that was based on some of the astrological phenomena, and he called that this is a cosmogram. This is a cosmic manifestive design of the temple in the basement, and later on temple has been developed. And that's why many scholars believe that this whole design of what he has prepared, this is very close to the reality. But still that needs scientific investigation. That is 1831. So we have to check. Yes. Now we see the problem started in 1931 when the court case gone and then that whose occupancy, who can keep the khana key, etc. That whole story started. And this way we can find that another map was based on this, that is James Prinsep. So based on this has been a little bit adjusted with Professor A.S. Altekar. That book, based on the whole observation, and that was submitted to the court in 1939. That says that a clearly indication of Avimukteshwar, what was referred in the ancient text, already ancient small shrine existing there. And there are also at the that main entry point on the steps, there was a small shrine of Avimukteshwar, which in course of time lost. Then what he did, the back side of that one is this. And then the central part he has tried to expand and then added that portion. That one important thing is based on the James principle, it is written that underground remnants of the 15th century mandapa, and that gives something different type of story. What I was earlier saying that it was nothing like sudden that Akbar patronized and Mansingh made temple at that particular site, because here it says 15th century. So Lodhis and Sarki destroyed that area. Which temple? So in a way, we can speculate this that maybe nearby this, it is somehow Prinsep has written, and later on this has been established. This whole area as a water tank, half dried and half water. What Altekar has tried to. Another important thing is that in the earlier design, you can see nowhere in the southern part he had mentioned Gyanwap. When it had been elaborated by Altekar, then you find small, here is a portion, it is written Gyanwap. Now, two questions again, critical question coming from the landscape structure. Later on, we will see that it should have been just in the symmetry of this, just in the center, or it may have just go to this water and this. It should have been here, not there, till the present knowledge. Later on, some people have tried to set in a different way. That look here in the right hand side is the recent, you can say, superimposition, or you can say adjustment with the help of computer. That straight way Nandi has been installed here, and then we say that oh, Nandi is directly like this. Now again, the question is this: the main argha of Shiva is in east. Then how Nandi can watch in the north? Because common tradition, almost in all the temples, you can see that where there is the argha direction, Nandi will be watching directly. It is not again fitting. Maybe some interpretation later on we can have, and then we can find it. So this is the way that whole different stages of controversy, contradiction started. And then since 1939, it was more or less the silent. Then again, it started in 1993. Then now it started, and that's how whole media and scholarship going on to interpret the whole story. This is the way what Divyaji is here, I hope. Yeah, so that is so what he is trying to do as an architect. So many questions are going to be set. It is nothing like that we can put our own mind. What the people interpret, what the Quranic sources showing. So taking that modern map, figure in the background, and then trying to set this Prinsep map, and then trying to see alignment, but still it is theoretical construction. Still we are not able to have very sophisticated instrument to measure like electromagnetic meter, etc., etc. But I hope through this we can say something very conclusive that how it is fitting that whole landscape. This is a recent attempt which is going on, and it is no way concerned with any type of contestation or conflict or anything what court will say. Court will say whatever the documents are proof, maybe court will decide, okay, this is more academic exercise based on field work. This is another way to say, look, this is no scale. Earlier you have seen, the one you have seen, it is all scale. It is all fixed, whatever archival sources, and then fitting into the aerial photograph and city map. Now you see that here is the thing, that you have prepared a wonderful sketch, no scale, no direction, and you fix that and then trying to interpret that this is like this. Is another way to say this. And then convincing that look, it is fitting into this. It is no way fitting into that way. This is the sketch. No way it is on a scale of direction. So no way we can say how the correspondence alignment to be made. No, not it is not. Another perspective is that here the design has been prepared. The temple was originally like this. But I have already shown you the only design available, not published, only in the collection of Kubenaji. No more, but I have that copy of that one, where the whole design has been prepared. Based on that, again, when you prepare such design, you have to convert it into the scale, direction, and then fitting into landscape. Then only we can say it is close to the reality. Otherwise, you can say these are beautiful representation, but no way fitting into in terms of its scale, direction, and landscape. That is another perspective coming up and going on. Now, on one of the other things now came about the bull. It is said that bull is watching trees 352, about 352 years just to meet his master Shiva. Okay. But the record says here is a bell donated by the king of Nepal. The date there, inscription is already there. It is just recently we find that that was taken from the main door and kept somewhere in the inside a room and locked. But anyway, we got that. That says Samvat 1876 written here, and that says 1819. If you convert into the this Gregorian year, English year, then it is coming to it. This is fitting into situation what Moti Chand has referred in one place, and then another archaeologist and Indologist Thakur Prasad Verma in his book has mentioned that Nepal king has donated this Nandi in 1820. That was the period why 1820, because the whole story is coming 1800 to 1804. The main king of Nepal, Rana Bahadur Shah, was exiled in the city and he was a worshipper of Shiva. So that Nepal description says that he has taken a vow that I will establish a temple till later on after 50 years because he was killed only after 6 years returning back. He was stabbed and killed. Then his son took that vow, then his son. And this way, later on, that was established what is called central portion, you can say, Pashupatinath or Samarajeshwara temple. So this is the story of that whole structure. And that description, based on this inscription on the well, that says that it is 1820. If that is 1820, then how one can say that this bull is watching you? And no, suppose this is old, then you draw the line taking north, the cosmic north, then no way it is fitting, it is 3 meters away from there. But we have tried to use our old maps and survey, then we find that this is not fitting. So this needs different type of interpretation and different types of proof or other proofs to say that how this whole thing is setting into that one. Or you can accept it, this was the whole Vishwanath house, and they have taken their place, whatever place suitable. That is the question. Now, another issue is coming. That was a temple of Adivicheshwara, that is backside of Rajia Mas, and which was later on established by a saint and merchant, and in the same year, that is dated around 1680. So you remember in 1669, by the order of Aurangzeb, the temple was demolished. Then in 1680, we find two important things happened in Banaras. The one thing was the same man given some grant and support to Jangavadi Math and some other. It is not clear to which temple, but it is mentioned that some other. And so there is a gap of about 12, 15 years. So somehow this was convinced to him that now let us reconcile the situation. That was the situation that he had Jai Singh II from Amer, from the family link of Man Singh. He tried to put that original Argha, the Ulva of the Lord Visheshwara from the Rajiyamas, somehow preserved, and that has been set here, where my cursor is moving. That is the temple Adi Visheshwara. It is just 400 meters north from the mosque area and backside of Rajiya Mosque. Inside is this one. This is the only such structure nowhere in Banaras. We have done survey of 1,200 temples during 20 years with all the details. This is unique, and the way the whole glorification of Visheshwar is described in the Puranic text. Like later on, you can say Kashikanda, Skanda Puran later version. Then you find it is fitting into this. So according to some of them, you can say oral history, that this Ulva was preserved, somehow kept, and when everything gone pulled down, then with the permission of the emperor, that has been restored. Then now question is what happened to the link? Because that again oral history is that when Aurangzeb gave order and the temple was destroyed, then the priest or Pujari took the upper portion linga and jumped in the well. Okay, Janwapi well. And after that story is kept, nobody knows that he died there, came out, where it has gone. Now here is another speculation that the way it is described, the ling is described in pair. Still we cite that Sanskrit version that this is a unique linga. It is not only Shiva. Here Shava means his wife, Mother Parvati is aligned together. That's why this is unique and that is the only one such type of linga in whole North India. You can see closely. This is just Varga inside. Yeah, here you can see this. My cursor is moving. If you can closely watch, I can see another. So it is not smoothly well painted, but here it looks that something is attached. And that portion is called that is the Shakti. Here is Shiva and Shakti, and that's why Visheshwar is unique. Now here is a question. What do we find in Bindu Madhur temple here in Banaras one inscription that after 200 years gap, that murti of the Bindu Madhava that came from the Orsha area and re-established there. If you can remember that story, then quite possible we can say the Pandit took this linga and jumped in the well. So later on, he gone somewhere, he got protection. And in course of time, later on, I took that and get it installed here. So this may be considered as the original Vishwanath linga. That is one of the oral history one can speculate like this. Now, another perspective in the backside of Adi Visheshwara, we find here Shingar Gauri. That is another issue is always debated when we are talking about the backside of the temple, that Shingar Gauri Puja was going on once in a year with the permission of the government. A little bit correction is required. Earlier, before 1992, there was nothing like any restriction. There was no image at all there. Only people put vermilion, that is the sindoor, and some flower, and then artificial type eye there, and people were worshipping. So it said that only once in a year, that was a wrong statement in my opinion. Because I have done several times, 100 times, going there and taking permission of Shingar Gauriji as a mother and then performing my journey. Later on, a Mangala Gauri is also added. So this is the original piece. So people say that the original Shingar Gauri was already there and that we re-established in Adi Visheshwar. This is again further issue that this is real or not, and how to prove it that is real. Whatever it may be. But this is strongly believed by Hindus that this is the original mother form, and when they perform Sastrik Vidhi of pilgrimage journey of Vimukta and Tarkriya, they get permission from the Shingar Gauri. Now that image in the backside of Adi Vishesh. Okay? So when Ahilyabai has made this temple, see the structure. Okay? So here is a Visheshwara in the eastern side, and then two others. The whole structure is like this. And if you can see from upper portion, background is here. Mass you can see like this. This is the way that overview of the view of the temple. Here comes the whole controversy what we are talking. So you see this portion and now you compare this portion. This is 1831 and now you see only 6 months ago, already there. So that if you can reconstruct this whole with the modern method of designing, this is quite fitting into that. And James Prinsep always said Visheshwara. He described that this is Visheshwara. So the question is that we are raising the question about the design. But the way it is fitting into the landscape, there is nothing like anything proof required. It is visual, it is measured, it is trigonometrically setting, all that you can compare like this, the Prinsep design. So now you can see this is Ahilyabai. Here is now Visheshwara, like this. Now what happened here? The story started in 2017, what is called Modiji's Prime Project. Then this portion, where my cursor is moving, this whole courtyard, where Draupadi is, Nakuleshwara, Akshay Bhatt, Kachari, the court of Shiva, the meeting of the Shiva, all this is demolished, and now this becomes so big. Here are now rooms. What happened to these things? One of the oldest monks, Akshay Bhatta and Nakuleshwara, and Draupadi now no more exist. Maybe some are kept, we don't know, but they are not been reestablished. And here we have to say these were all fit into 100% alignment with the solar region that we have worked on. So now this whole story is going to be something which mess. Some of the latest things, what is going on? There is a well, then it is called, it is Pawara, and the place is Linga. Both are saying like this. We need something very rigorous analysis, then only. In terms of landscape history, we have to link like this, and then also we have to do some geological, meteorology, that what type of minerals are there? Is quartzite there? Is that it be fitting into there? Why such a huge this block is far away from the main center point? These are some of the basic questions still that is going on debate, that how it is going on. And that's why the story is that what to say. Now, question is here that directly people say, like some of the saints say, this is the original Visheshwara. And that is a big question. No way that this is fitting into. If you can take that Argha in the Adi Visheshwara and set this model in the computer, no way it is fitting into that. This may be another link to that, because as I have earlier said, that was the Panchayat. So that may be one of the links, but it does not mean directly till date. No proof to say this is the origin. And then again, they are using the word Adi Visheshwar, Adi Visheshwar. Then how many Adi Visheshwar you want to say? Which one will be the Adi? That is again confusion and contradiction. Either way, how that was you can't. This was in the map of Altekar, it was like this, so big. It is only the central part. It was just extended. So 1/3 portion you can say was Yukana, and the northern portion and the southern portion completely blocked and finished. And here we find this one question. Look, here is another things coming up recently, that whatever Khana, underground holy structure, and that has been survey has been made, is still not fully open. But some artists, they have made some sketch that how it was. And there was a one description in the Puranic source, which never directly we can say coincide, but at least close by to that, that Shiva is just like in yoga and tapasya. And here description in the art particle of just Shiva is sitting in Varanasi and doing yoga. So this is underground place of yoga performed by Shiva. So he is in the form of Yogeshwara. And upper portion is like for the worldly affair. So if this whole Kana business is going to be expanded in that way, then another story will be coming up. So that is another perspective going on. Okay, you have seen this, the Nandi business and the other things. Here are now Gyanvapi. Gyanvapi was earlier, if you can see, yeah, here, then we can see. You see, this was a 1831. This fellow from the Vyas family, they were having the right from the Mughal period to perform special type of ritual, initiation and completion. To have the vow, Sankalpa Lena, Sankalpa Chodana. Now, no one from the family, no one knowing the whole tradition. Now, hired priest is performing this. Now, here, the right hand side. So, that tradition is broken, of course, surviving, but that is broken. Otherwise, it was completely set like a round shape. It is exact well is lower ground and then well in the upper, and directly sun rays coming. This is the way description. But now so much decoration, additions made, and the things has gone in a different way. So you see that there is still a sheet where people throw the money and they think that still that original link is inside. They go to Nandi, and in the ear they say, okay, Nandiji, we are here, come on and give blessing. So these are part of the oral tradition going to perform. These are some of the old photographs from James Prince, how it was fitting into that one. And easily you can see that in the back side, that is in the eastern side of Gyan Vapi, that was the Gyan Vapi. This whole portion was made in 1819. Okay, the bull is there. Then if you can try the modern bull position, it is not again exactly not fitting into it. So there may be something disturbance here and there in setting the bull. That is quite possible. One of the photograph 1868 by Samuel Byrne in Newark archive that says this is the Gyan Vapi area. I am doubtful. No way this is fitting into the survey or the principles. Maybe nearby building, but it is difficult. Still no way somebody has given full description. That was the man about whom I was talking, and I have shown you the picture. This is the last. After 6 months, the whole building was demolished. He was thrown into the lane, and just without water, medicine, no care. And in my opinion, I have worked under his guidance, just touching his feet for 20 years to know the temple. He was having all memory of house number, description, which takes says which, and that's how we are going in the field. No way touch in his life money. We have to give only food, clothes, etc., and some support, but nothing like that. So that great scholar now, no memory, nothing else, it's gone. That is one part of the Banaras. I glories, but this is another way to say. So that was just to see overview. That he started the Rajya Mosque, and then you see Adi Visheshwara. Then here is the present Gyan Vapi Mosque, and backside you find this. And this is 10 to 1, how it is going on. So give a landscape view that how it is setting into this. This way it is coming like this. It's just like curvature feature. This is the picture, which is already about 15 years ago, when Subramaniam Swami has raised this question in the parliament. At that time, he used this type of photograph to say that what is this? If these are masks, then what is this? What to be done? At that time, he proposed that why not both the groups can have open discussion and we can fix something and make a beautiful model of the multi-licit cultural thing. But anyway, that was only this year. Before that, Ahilya Bai was making this final. Still, we are not very clear about that. A miniature form of Vishwanath temple, Visheshwar by Ahilya Bai was made. So this is still a question to study it and to see it. That how, because earlier several times we find description that miniature form or similar type of temple made, and then all that rituals, consecration, and sastric vidhi will be performed to just make the final temple. So this may be linked to that one, but not sure. You see now here, you watch my cursor. Here more clear about Shakti and Shiva. This is the only one piece. So that is another question. And majority of people, pilgrims coming, they all say this is a Jyotirlinga. This is the original linga. So this has somehow in majority of the minds and faith, this is that. So now the again question started that if we are suppose we are getting that and we are re-established Vishwanathji there, and then we again go to Rajya also to preserve the historicity. So Rajya Mosque will be the Visheshwar number 1. Then this mosque will be Visheshwar number 2. Ahilya Bai will be Visheshwar number 3. Then you Kalpatriji made separate temple, that will be 4. And then Mahamana in the DHU, that will be 5. And how to perform the ritual and puja. How many Vishesh? Duplicate number 1, duplicate number 2, duplicate. How many this? That is another issue is coming in practical sense. How to perform and what to be done for that. So that is also another big question. This is something rare happened. That was 1977 Jal Abhisheka. That is from the Panch Ganga, the 5 sacred rivers called Ganga, started from Godavari, Mahanadi, Narmada, Mandakini, or Ganga itself, and that was performed on the day of Kartik Purnima. And after that, that type of Abhishek never happened. This was photographed by Ravir Singh. So just in memory, today's news I can see. So let me closely now close down so that we can have enough time to something query questions. At some of the yatras, we have detailed out Antargiri Yatra Cheshire, but sorry to say that the inner cone is now complete, started due to this corridor business. Okay, so we have tried to plot each and every signs with details like this. Okay, when this corridor was made, two buildings came, 1850 to 1860. Look here, that was already illegally captured, and toilet was made adjacent or in the temple also. Thanks God that this destruction took place, and now these beautiful temples came into light. This is the way it started 2020, and now 21. Okay, this is the whole plan. These are the models. And those who are interested, I have already sent the paper, and you can get this. You can just type Ranaping Singh Kashi Varanasi Vishwanath Temple, and you can get the recent paper with all these designs and discussion, etc. Is the way that models. Bharat Mata, now Shankaracharya, and now our Adya Mata Ahilyabai in the temple structure. So let me close at this level. It is already 1 hour, and now we have a little bit time for that one. You have to remember the basic message of that. So two messages I am trying to share with you. One is Sanatana, Hindu way of life. Hindu way of life, what Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan used to say. By the deeper faith and continuity of traditions passing through space, that is asthana, time, kala, and implicit belief, astha. This is an ongoing learning, transforming, and transferring process forever from the rooted past, continuity and practice in present, and with hope and vision moving towards the future. So we have to realize this truth. And this way we have tried to address. Let me say here one more point important I wish to say that there are 1,388 historical Muslim shrines in this city and 15 related to the great Sufi saints, where 50% in this Goa perform the rituals. We have studied that in a very detailed manner. Okay, so the last is here message by Swami Vivekananda. Utishtata Jagrata Prapya Varani. This is the fifth lecture and last line in Chicago lecture, what he said. Please, come on, rise, awake, and stop not till the goal is gained. And this message is when somebody asks to whom you are addressing. He said, not to me, not to old, not to scholar, to the young generation to think in this manner and then make this whole country as an example of cosmic Brahmanda change. He has used the word based on Brahma Sutra of Sankaracharya. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Ranji. It was a very detailed presentation, and I really enjoyed the concluding slide. It was really nice.
5 minutes time because we are working together. He is leading and controlling, so he can give some fresh light. And that way, it is nothing like that he is going to say anything. It is more important we can receive insight from you that he can reconstruct in more architectural manner. Okay,
Definitely, definitely. It would be an honor for us to have him actually speak on this topic.
That is completely okay. The way is fine. And as Zanaji said, God by any name is God himself. So, anyway, so thank you, Ranaji, for this opportunity, and thank you also for showing the slide. But after that, I think it was almost a month ago that that particular slide I had created in discussion with you, and after that, I think we have done a far more. I would not say serious, but a little bit more in-depth study, and also looked at contemporary temples that Mansingh, Veer Singh Deo were actually creating, and we have realized the shortcomings of the Princep map itself and several other maps that have been produced. So we are hoping that through whatever information we have in hand, because the sites are not accessible right now, but Ranaji has been very fortunate, and I also have been a bit fortunate of visiting some of these sites. So we are hoping that based on this sort of comparative analysis of the temples that were created during that particular time, we will be able to recreate perhaps a 16th century or perhaps a 12th century landscape of this particular place to mainly show the evolution of this place. And having said that, I would also like to say, and I do not know, Ranaji, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no such unique building in India, where there is half temple and half mosque. So it is actually sort of whatever happened in the past is a separate thing, but it is also can be seen as a uniqueness of an architectural typology or now as a celebration of the merging of the two cultures, where you can actually understand a 16th century temple and you can also understand a 17th century mosque in the same plane. And I don't want to say more, but also just to add a little bit, Ranaji, there is also a mosque, which one of the third temple that supposedly on the Farmans of Aurangzeb that was destroyed, the Kirtireshwar temple. I think, if I'm not mistaken, on that there sits something called the Fuwarewali Mosque, and there is also a tradition there that during Shivratri, that the Fuwara there is also considered as a manifestation of one of the Shivlingas, and there is worship allowed. So, would you want to add something about that?
That is a Kritvasheshwar temple.
Kritvasheshwar.
Vasheshwar.
Now, locally called Fuwarewali Masjid.
Fawarewali Masjid. Yeah.
Would you like to add a little bit, because there are parallels that are being
Yeah,
drawn?
they are linked because we found that when we find that the period defined that 2nd of September, that this mosque was made there. Then we find that within 5-6 months, Hindu Madhav and also Kirtibasheshwar. And still you see that after 92 situation became something different. But before that, I have attended Shivratri, and in the Pawara is one link there. And that day, all the Maulvis and Mullahs there, they will be out. They'll be at the corner. And most welcome, you can come and perform there. There will be dancing party and worship. Then, of course, only 100 meters gap, then you find the new Kirtivasheshwar. And people say this is the original Kirtivasheshwar. And there is the remnants of that. So that is another very good issue that we can link like this type. And another important aspect is that same Kirtibasheshwar temple was famous where Dara Shikoh was studying Upanishad. And that is in a way interpreted why Aurangzeb was so hostile, because in the Kirtibasheshwar, Dara Shikoh, his elder brother, was having this Upanishad training and he translated it. So that is another story. So that is another part, very good part you have added, that somehow little bit we have to link.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your word, Devaiji. And Professor Rana, of